to Knicks Nation, Monday Night Knicks. CP from KnicksFanTV checking in with you guys. Special guest on tonight's NBA Draft Q&A. This is a guy who eats, sleeps, and drinks NBA Draft and lives by the moniker the NBA Draft Junkie. He goes by the name of Rafael Barlow. Rafael, how you doing tonight, man? Thanks for joining us.
No problem, man. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man. You're another guy whose work on the draft I really respect, so definitely wanted to have you on, address the fans, and let's kick it off with your mock draft, because in your latest mock draft, you have the Knicks going with one Obi Toppin at number 8. Well, what do you think about Toppin and what he could bring to the Knicks, bro?
Well, I guess it was on my draft channel, somewhat of a controversial pick, which I think no matter who
They all are.
Yeah, so my skin is thick. I can handle it. But I think that, in my opinion, I think Toppin is the most NBA-ready prospect as far as coming in and being able to contribute right away. I mean, he's a little older than the rest of the guys in this draft class. There's some issues about his defense. But offensively, I just think that he's the most NBA ready to come in and contribute. And in my opinion, if he goes to the Knicks at 8, I mean, he would be my choice for Rookie of the Year. I mean, I know it's super early. We don't even have a season start date yet, but I just think overall, like I say, he's ready to come in right away and contribute.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think obviously he's the most NBA ready. He is going to be 22. Is he 22 already or 22 entering the draft?
I think he'll be 23 by the time the season ends.
So what do you think about that? You know, you've been a guy who's studied and covered the draft for quite some time. There are a lot of people that think the age is a bit of a concern. What say you in that regard?
I get it on both sides. You figure if let's say he's 23 once the season ends. By the time his rookie contract is over, he may be 26, maybe 27-ish. Yeah. As opposed to a guy like Devin Booker, who was like 23, maybe even, he's probably like 23 once he started his second contract. So, the older the prospect is, you may feel like he's closer to his prime or to his peak. And, it's just the way the NBA is going nowadays. I mean, they value younger guys. And I think a lot of teams have messed up taking a guy because he's 19 as opposed to a guy that was 21 and they thought that the 19-year-old had more potential. Right. I mean, you look at Brandon Clark last year, I guarantee you there are some teams that are kicking themselves for passing up on him because they thought he was too old.
That's a good point. And Brandon Clark had an excellent year for the Grizzlies this year. Had an excellent year. With Toppin, the numbers, 20-7 on the offensive end, 39% from 3. He was in the 98th percentile in shots in the half court. 1.56 in shots in the half court. I'm sorry, 98th percentile shots at the rim. 98th percentile shots at the rim. 87th in post points per possession from the post. And another 90th percentile in jump shots in the half court. So, I mean, he's a guy that could, get it done at all 3 levels. Defensively, do you think he's as useless as a lot of the naysayers put out there?
Ooh, that's I think so. I think
is he going to kill you out there to the point where his offensive productivity is really not going to matter?
In the regular season, no. But I think in the playoffs, yeah, that's when he really becomes a liability, simply because if you watch the playoff this year, if you have a guy that is a weak link on the defensive end, teams are just hunting them out. I mean, you look at, for example, the Clippers, they had strong defensive players in Paul George and Kawhi Leonard and Patrick Beverley. So what did the teams do? They picked on Lou Will and Montrezl Harrell almost every play. Even with Denver early in their series versus Utah, the Jazz just picked on Michael Porter Jr. until they took him out of the starting lineup.
Yeah, Porter was tough out there, man. You couldn't leave him out there.
And I mean, that comes with youth. And I think Toppin, in a playoff situation, I definitely think that he'll be a guy that, even if you surround him with great defenders, he'll be the guy that teams look to attack because, he's going to be the weak link. But I think that In a regular season, I think he'll be fine. And that's where it's kind of tough because you have to get to the playoffs first,
Right.
get to that point. And I think that, I mean, if I'm a Knicks fan, if I'm Leon Rose, my goal is to try to make the playoffs next season. I feel like, with a couple good moves, then they can replace Orlando in that eighth spot.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and I think even though there's a bunch of guys that are playing the same positions, kind of a logjam at the 4 and 5 spot, I just think that you know Toppin is the most NBA ready prospect
Yeah.
that will be available to them at number 8.
I agree with that. And I think defensively, I think being out there with Mitch, I think Mitch will cover him in certain areas. Maybe he's better as a small ball 5 on the defensive end, not so sure. But as you pointed out in the bubble, I also noticed that a lot of teams kept that 4 slot very flexible in terms of you had some undersized threes playing in the 4 spot. The Heat would have Jay Crowder out there. You had Jaylen Brown with the Celtics. The Lakers at times had to put Marcus Morris out there just to keep things flexible, to have guys that can cover guys out there on the perimeter because, to play the matchups when teams were going a lot smaller. So you're seeing a lot more 3-and-D wings at the 2 to 3 and even the 4, especially in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think that's why Devin Vassell would also be an interesting choice for the Knicks, just because there is a shortage of 3-and-D wings. You can really never have enough of them. But if you look at Boston and Miami, they went to the Eastern Conference Finals. Boston starting center was like 6'8", maybe 240, and Tice.
Yeah.
Bam is maybe 6'9", maybe. I mean, he could also be, give or take an inch. He's 6'9". Jaylen Brown was, I guess you can say he's a Celtics 4, or Tatum, whoever you choose. I think they were interchangeable there.
Right.
Same with Miami. They had Jay Crowder playing the 4. There were lineups for Iguodala was playing the 4.
Right.
So I think that, small ball is, I think it's here to stay. And so I think that in certain lineups, Toppin could be a weapon if you have him in at the 5. He's not going to offer much rim protection, but if he can knock down open shots, which I'm buying into his potential long term as a shooter, and then I think that he can exploit mismatches when teams look to switch everything. So you get a team that's looking to switch 1 through 5, and you get him matched up against a point guard. I think that he has the skills in the post to be able to make something happen. Or there's a lot of guys that are 5s, like for example, Mitch. I don't know if he can really exploit a lot of mismatches in the 5 because he's mostly going to be seen as a guy that's a rim roller, vertical lob threat, as opposed to somebody you can throw the ball in the post to and get a bucket.
And take advantage of it.
Right.
Yeah. I agree. It's going to be interesting, man. I think some people don't think he's going to fall that far. I happen to think if he does, being the best player available at that slot and being a CAA guy, I happen to think that they would take him. Jonathan Macri of the Knicks Film School, one of my colleagues, he said that he spoke to a league source and said if he's there, they would 100% take him. I mean, take it with a grain of salt. You're used to the typical draft fodder at this time, at this stage in the game. Could be all cap, but who knows? Who knows? In terms of, you mentioned Vassell at the wing. How do you stack up the wings around that point, whether it be a Vassell, Okoro, Nesmith, or Saddiq Bey? How do you stack those guys up between that, say 8 and down?
I think Okoro and Vassell could fall in that range. Nesmith is more of a specialist. I don't know if you take a specialist at 8. But I guess it all depends on if you buy into him being somewhat of a solid defender. I like Vassell, man. I like him a lot. I like his potential, but even if he doesn't reach his maximum potential, I think he can have a Trevor Ariza type career as a switchy defender that knocks down open shots. I think if he adds on a little bit of weight and works on his ball handling and just kind of getting a little stronger, I think that the sky's the limit for him. What I do like about the Knicks is that, well, let me say this. It's kind of, you can't really judge the Knicks in the past because this is a whole new front office. So you can't really hold them, the current front office to the standards or the mistakes that the, front office in the past have made. But A good friend of mine played for the Utah Jazz, and he had nothing but great things to say about Johnny Bryant as a coach and as a developmental guy. So I think that if you take a guy like Vassell and you get the right development plan around him, I think that, like I said, the sky is the limit. My biggest issue with him is he didn't get to the free throw line often, only like 1.5 free throw attempts per game in his 2 years. And I couldn't find a prospect that was a wing that got to the free throw line fewer. Maybe Mikal Bridges, like his freshman year at Villanova. But other than that, I mean, he just doesn't get to the basket. And so, I think that's the area that he can improve on. But like I said, if he doesn't, I think that he can have a Trevor Ariza type career.
Yeah, I can see that. And that's not a bad floor to have. You know what I mean? I'm just thinking at 8, is that the way we want to go in terms of just, I want to take a roll of the dice on somebody with the highest ceiling. You know what I mean? Yeah. How about Okoro? How about Okoro? His jump shot, a lot of people are concerned with. Where do you stand with Isaac Okoro?
Man, I like him as a defender. I think he provides like that toughness that I think Knicks fans will like. But like you said, his shooting. I mean, I don't think he provides a lot of value on the offensive end. Or actually, I'll say this: no matter how great of a defender he is, if he can't knock down shots, then he becomes a liability.
It's gonna be Michael K. Gilchrist.
He's gonna and I just think like the NBA is so different now. Maybe 10 years ago, a guy like that who doesn't provide a lot of offense could still come in and start and play a valuable role on the playoff team, like like a Tony Allen or Andre Roberson, Oklahoma City. But in today's NBA, I don't think a team can go far with a guy that doesn't bring anything on the offensive end, because they'll just just the defense is different. It's such a big emphasis on scoring.
Yeah.
And there's so many more possessions now. But I think if he can just knock down the corner three, it opens up a lot for his game. I think that he's a pretty good ball handler. I think he's a good decision maker. But for him, there's different levels to it. Like if you watched his film, he was not confident at all as a shooter. Like there was times where he had open threes and he didn't want to shoot, or he would pass up an open shot and draw a charge because he just didn't want to shoot, or he would pass it to a teammate that was covered. I think I remember one play where the defender was in the paint, like the nearest defender was in the paint, didn't even close out on him, and he pump faked and only shot it because there was no other option. So, just working on his shooting, and if he can knock down shots, then he becomes a weapon. I do think that Luguentz Dort, the way he defended James Harden in the playoffs, may have helped Okoro stop.
Yeah, a lot of people thought that when they saw Dort go off that night.
Yeah, I mean, even just before the Game 7, the fact that he was able to move his feet, he was able to stay with James Harden, who is, arguably the best offensive player in the NBA right now. He was able to absorb contact. I mean, think about how many times you switch the guard on Harden and Harden just runs through them.
Yeah.
And the guy can't take the contact, or you take a bigger wing and then Harden just blows by him. Dort was able to match Harden step for step, absorb the contact, and he just kind of made things a little difficult for him. But other than Game 7, Houston didn't guard him. They just kind of let him shoot, and he caught fire at the end, but in Game 7. But if Okoro can just be like 33% three-point shooter, then I think he can help a team out, just because he has what you can't teach.
Right.
I think you can help a guy become a better shooter, but it's hard to turn the guy into that type of aggressive, physical defender, because it's a mindset.
True story. Salute to everybody in the chat. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. We are back on this Monday night. Another edition of the NBA Draft Q&A. CP from KnicksFanTV checking in. My guy, Raphael Barlow, the NBA Draft Junkie, is joining us on the guest spot. Let's go to the phones. Let's hear what the fans have to say. Let's start with Kev from Maryland. Kev, how you feeling, man?
Hello?
Yo, Kev, how you feeling, man? Go ahead with your point.
Yo, what's going on? TP,
what's up?
Glad to be on. And I just want to go back to the conversation around Obi Toppin. I think this is now the second time that you've had a draft somebody come on and talk about the Knicks taking Obi Toppin. And I just want to say, like, y'all, think about Mitch and Obi together. What is this? The 80s? Is this the 70s? Are we gonna, have two big men, neither of them who can really stretch the floor, together out there with RJ? We have to transcend and come into this new age of basketball. We don't need an Obi Toppin next to a Mitchell Robinson. So that's my first point. My second point is, we need to commit to Mitchell Robinson. Over this, a couple of weeks ago, a couple of folks were talking about, trading Mitchell Robinson. I mean, for who? Like, for who? Like, we need to commit to Mitchell Robinson. Like, defensively, this guy is his talent is through the roof. He's better than any prospect likely coming out of this draft. Mitchell Robinson is right now. So we need to commit to Mitchell Robinson. We don't need another big man. We need somebody who could stretch the floor. I was watching the Miami Heat just this past game. You know who they had playing the 5? They had Andre Iguodala playing the 5 this past game, and they won. Right? Like, this is a brand new NBA. We don't need Obi Toppin next to Mitchell Robinson. We need to transcend, get into this new age of basketball. And I can see us taking a 3-and-D wing. I can see us taking a point guard. I'd be cool with, I'm still learning about Devin Vassell and Okoro. I'm still learning about them. But I like Kira. That's just one of my personal favorite picks coming out the draft. And last but not least, y'all need to get off the LaMelo Ball train. Stop it.
wait, but who's on the LaMelo Ball train? Are we gonna talk about LaMelo in a little bit? Thanks for the call, Cap.
I wanted to add something that
go ahead.
I mean, I think I'm buying into Obi as being a shooter. He didn't have a lot of
I think he can space it well.
Yeah, he shot 41%, almost 42% for his in his 2 seasons. Like I said, it was a small sample size, but I think that he can knock down shots. And if you think about it, he probably played his last game, March? Let's say the season starts it starts on Christmas, which, they're saying to start later than that.
Right.
I think he's a good enough shooter that if you give him 9 months of just working on his outside shot, adjusting to the NBA line, I think he can be fine. There's other guys that I worry about more than Obi Toppin as far as being able to come in and space the floor. I think that he should be able to, knock down open shots.
I think he can as well. And on the comments on Mitch, I mean, look, I think it's an interesting debate. You see what's going on in the bubble. How much are the Knicks going to invest in Mitchell Robinson if he doesn't round out his offensive game, if he's just a defensive minded rim runner? Of course, listen, I love the value that Mitch brings to the team, but it's still a worthwhile debate. Now, they're eligible to give him an extension anywhere between now and the next 2 seasons. Will Rich Paul, entertain it? I don't know. I don't think so, but we shall see. But again, he pointed to the fact that sometimes you had Iguodala running at the 5. You had, sometimes teams couldn't run their starting centers out there to finish games because look at what Toronto had to do, going down the stretch against Boston. You had Serge, you had Marcus Gasol on the bench for a whole half because they weren't able to get him in there. So I don't know. We'll see what happens in these next few years, what Mitch's true value is going to be to the team and how much they end up paying him.
Well, if I'm a Knicks fan after watching, and I'm sure you guys have seen it, watching those videos that he's posting on social media, I'm worried. You probably have to reprogram him coming into the season.
He's just having fun, man. He's just having fun out there, man.
Is he having fun, or is he like, you know what? I'm working on my ball handling. I mean, like I've trained NBA guys before, and I know, and I had this conversation with a NBA coach once, and he said, like, sometimes one of the hardest things to do is reprogram a guy in training camp to let him know, like, yes, I know you worked on your ball handling, I know you worked on your shooting, I know you did that all summer, but get out here, run this floor, set this screen, and jump to the moon when we throw you a lob. And so just those Mitchell Robinson videos, I hope he's just having fun, and I'm not against anybody like expanding their game, but every video I've seen is him skip to my Lewin and cross over and shoot and pull up jumpers. I don't think that's his role.
Yeah, the fan base was cringing. I put it up there to stir up emotions, but we'll see. They opened up training camp last week. You saw some videos of him taking some baseline jumpers, so I think Tibbs does want to see him expand his game a little bit. How much leeway they give him, time will tell. Let's go back to the phone. Salute to everybody in the chat. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Salute to everybody watching on Facebook. Salute to everybody on Team #New. Everybody watching on the replay gang. We'll run the replays later on, so salute to the replay gang. I definitely want to shout out Sports with AJ LaFontaine. He's Team #New. We got the Inhaler in here, Team #New. Dominique Gilliard, Team #New. Salute my guy Marlon Small in here. All the mods, what's going on? I think some people I mentioned, Chuck D was in here earlier. Salute to the General Chuck D. Salute to Sean Shepard, my guy out there on the West Coast holding it down. Hope everybody had a great weekend. All right, back to the West Coast. Josh from San Diego. Josh, how you feeling, man?
Hey, what's going on, CP? How y'all doing?
Good, bro.
Oh, I am 100% all in on Obi Toppin. I believe this kid is big time on the offensive end. Like you mentioned all the numbers, but I mean, people don't understand. He used to play guard. He was a guard, and we talk all the time about bigs that are versatile. He can stretch the floor by shooting, but he can also pass. That's a very, very underrated thing for a big man to have, and he can come in right away and do it. I think he's big time. Showstopper, can electrify the Garden. I do agree that once the playoffs come around, he might be a liability on defense, but you can develop that. If the Knicks play good, sound team defense under Thibodeau, you can hide a lot of that. For what he lacks defensively.
Right.
But I am 100% all in. I think the Knicks need to take him if he's there. If not, I'll go with Okoro, someone athletic like that. But
okay,
Obi Toppin, 100%. Thanks.
Appreciate the call, Josh. Appreciate it. All right. So
yeah,
Josh,
I agree,
Josh's
man.
Obi gang. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think his passing is so underrated. I know that he didn't play in a major conference, and so a lot of people didn't get a chance to watch him play. But I watched nearly every possession he had this season, and there are times where you can watch his plays, and you say, okay, he definitely was a guard at one point. Now there are times where you can say, well, you see his movement, and you're like, I don't know if he was a guard because I've never seen a guard that's that stiff,
yeah,
and not as mobile, but he does show flashes of having like high level court vision, especially from a post player. And I think that I think Julius, if they ever play together, I think Julius is a pretty decent passer. He has good court vision for a big man, and I think in certain small lineups, if you play them together, then it can make up for the fact that based off the roster now, that there isn't really like a pure point guard outside of Elfrid Payton. And so I think in today's NBA, the more guys that you have that can make plays for others, the better your offense will be. Even though there are some holes in the offense with those two guys together, but I like Tibbs. I think I've seen Tibbs work wonders. I mean, I want to say 2013, 14, I was with a player that played for the Charlotte Bobcats, and I got a chance to just go to a lot of games. And I mean, he had Joakim Noah as a top 5 MVP candidate, and they were running the offense through Noah.
Yeah.
I've seen Tibbs have the Bulls in the playoffs with DJ Augustine as their leading scorer, or Nate Robinson as their go-to guy. So I do think that he can hide bad defenders. If he can hide 5'9" point guards and be competitive and win 50 games, then I think he should be able to come up with a plan to hide Toppin, especially in the regular season.
I sure hope so, man. I'm just looking at the draft order real quick. Some people don't see him slipping, but I think it's possible. Minnesota and Golden State, you have those guys either locked in at the big three or trading out of that spot for somebody who wants one of those big three. Charlotte, I don't see taking them. Chicago, they got Wendell Carter Jr. in there. They have marketing, right? I don't know if they trade him. He said he was a little unhappy there, but with Billy Donovan there, maybe he stays. Cleveland, I think, is the biggest wild card. I think Cleveland could go a number of ways. I think they can go Denny. They can go Okoro. They certainly need wings. Maybe they take Toppin at 5. But if he doesn't go to Cleveland at 5, I don't think Atlanta takes him with John with what's my guy's name? The big
John
guy.
Collins.
John Collins there.
Yeah.
I don't see Detroit going there. I think Detroit will end up either taking Halliburton or Killian Hayes. And then you got 8 at the Knicks. I think it's very possible for Obi to slip to 8.
Yeah, I mean, this draft is such a wild card. I mean, even with Golden State, you don't know if they'll trade down.
Right.
And I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to see a Warriors-Knicks trade. It just depends on how bad teams want Melo. I've heard from a reliable source that there are a couple of teams that don't want to be in position to draft Melo. They'd rather trade down.
They're running from Melo. They're running from.
Yeah, and I think because, I mean, it's a tough situation. I think that in some cases, the general manager, the front office may not want him, but I can see an owner saying, hey, with everything that's going on, we're losing money. We can't have, we don't know if we're going to have fans in the crowd, but Melo's box office, short term, he's going to sell a lot of jerseys. He's going to, bring some hype. You guys are taking Melo. So I could definitely see that happen. But I could also see, a team like Golden State trading down, especially if there's a team that really, really wants Melo. Mm-hmm. This draft is so unpredictable.
Right?
And I think with Toppin, I think he's probably criticized the most in a sense because we have the most footage of him. Mm-hmm. Like LaMelo played, 13, 14 games, if that. Wiseman played 3. I doubt if people really saw Denny Avdia play. So there's a lot of guys in this draft that we haven't really seen. Toppin is a guy that people have seen 2 years of him, and they can pick his film apart.
Interesting stuff, man. Let's go back to the phones. My guy Jay from Florida, a.k.a. the anti-Halliburton, joins us. What's going on, Jay?
Yeah, you already know off top, there's no Halliburton for me. But I want to shout out, two of the most dominant black, creators out there on YouTube. Salute to y'all. Make sure you hit the like button on
that
on
thumbs
the joint.
up button for you.
Make sure you go to my man page, hit the like button on the joint, subscribe to both of my man's pages, run it up. Anyway, CP. Here's what I want to talk about tonight, sir. Mm-hmm. Tibbs' body language is terrible, bro. Tibbs hates this roster, bro. Tibbs gave some dry responses when they asked him about specific players, bro. Right? He only like Mitch.
He only talked about RJ and Mitch.
Frank, what you said, bro?
I said he really only hyped up RJ and Mitch. Everybody else from DSJ to Knox to Frank, he was like, yeah, we'll see about him. We'll see.
And barely RJ, bro. Like, he didn't really show RJ the type of love that I was expecting. Like, you know what I'm saying? Let's face it, RJ's whole career come down to that shot. You got that shot. You're looking at an all-star play. Without the shot, it's going to be tough, bro. You know what I'm saying? But to me, I feel like they're going to do something major, man. They're going to trade for CP3. They're going to trade up in the draft, man. Tibbs is not going out there with this roster, bro. A DSJ that can't dribble straight. Frank don't got no confidence. He's not. They ain't going out like that. Tibbs don't got no patience. He's 60 years old. Leon Rose is 60 years old. They going for the gusto. They trading players. They getting some superstars in. I want the Knicks back on TNT. I want the Knicks back on ESPN. I want box office, like my man be saying, right? So go trade for LaMelo. If you're not giving up the 21 picks, I say all the other picks could go. We need some hope. We need hope.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask my man what he think about Cole Anthony or Nesmith. I feel like Nesmith could fill it up. Nobody be talking about Nesmith, but Nesmith got to jump. He look like Joe Johnson, like I mentioned in the past. Cole could fill it up. You're talking about real scores, and then Obi. To me, it's Nesmith, Obi, or Cole. Vassell, Okoro, yeah, but they more projects. Those 3, Nesmith, Cole, or Obi, instant day one starters. Tibbs is not wasting his time with mediocre talent. The proof is in the pudding. He's not going out there with no Dennis Smith starting at the point guard. You got to get this man some superstars. They want the Knicks back on TNT and ESPN. I'm gone. Holla at me.
My God, Jay from Florida.
I wanted to add to that. Bro. So I agree 100% with Tibbs is not down for a rebuilding project. I mean, he's older. And, I mean, you look at what he did in Minnesota. He was not patient with Levine. He got him out of there for one of his guys, which is Jimmy Butler. But if I'm not mistaken, Tibbs passed on Jamal Murray for Chris Dunn. And so you got to hope that he doesn't
that was when he was a president, though.
Yeah, he was in charge. That was his choice.
That was when he was a president. Right now, he's not the president, so we're thankful for that. We got Walt Perrin, with a good draft pedigree. We got Scott Perry, who's drafted okay so far. I like that it's kind of taking the keys out of Tibbs' hands in that regard. So hopefully they do a little bit better.
Right. Some of these comments are hilarious. The guy said Vanderbilt played junior college teams before Nesmith got hurt.
Oh, the Nesmith naysayers. The Nesmith naysayers. Yeah. How about Cole Anthony, bro? How do you stack up Cole in that grouping with Kira Lewis? Seems like Cole and Kira are kind of in that teens range right now when you're looking at a lot of those mock drafts. You have Killian Halliburton kind of bunched up together. How do you see that?
Man, this is tough. So, all right, last year around this time, I was iffy on Cole Anthony. I wasn't a big fan. I felt like he was Austin Rivers 2.0, right? So then I watched him throughout the season, and I was down on him, just down. Then I looked at his stats. I saw that he only shot like 40% at the rim, and I just felt like he was overhyped. But then because of this draft and this long process, I've had so much time to watch guys over and over and over again. And then I started to realize that, man, he had no help. If the lane wasn't so congested, I think he would have been a much better finisher at the rim. I don't know if he's really like a pure point guard, even though, I hate using that term, pure point guard. I think that he turns the ball over a lot, and I don't know if you can really trust him running the offense.
The keys,
because, and I can't remember the stats off the top of my head, but I know like even from EYBL to his 1 year at Carolina, his assist to turnover ratio was not good at all. It wasn't in the negatives, but it was just barely positive. But what I like about Cole Anthony, and I'm going to change that. What I love about Cole Anthony is he's a dog. I think that he has the potential to be an engine that runs the Knicks. He's a good shooter. You can play him off the ball. If he gets a catch and shoot opportunity, he's knocking it down. But the most impressive thing to me about Cole Anthony was North Carolina was terrible. And I kind of hold that against him in a sense because I feel like when you choose a college, you choose your teammates. You know who you're going to play with. Unlike the NBA, you don't know who you're getting drafted to. So I think he knew, he should have known going into the season that Carolina wasn't going to have a good team. I thought maybe he felt like he could put up the same numbers that Kobe White had, but Kobe White had another lottery pick in Cam Johnson on his team. But what I liked the most about Cole Anthony was the Carolina team was terrible. He got hurt. They were going nowhere. He tore his meniscus, and he came back and played. Like, you look at LaMelo, for example, so I don't even know what happened. Was it a sprained ankle or whatever? And he shut it down. He was done after 12 games. Cole, he had everything to lose in a sense. His team was going nowhere, and he tore his meniscus. How many guys would have just said, you know what? I'm packing it up and I'm just preparing for the draft. Not only did he come back, but he came back and played like they had a shot at making it to the tournament. I think he shot like 30-something free throws in his first 2 games back. Now, that's a mentality that you can't teach. Like, I like that, you know what I'm saying? He's a dog. He's competitive. And if you can channel that competitive fire into, helping him learn how to balance scoring and distributing, then I think that he could end up being a steal. I think whatever team drafts him, if he falls to 8 or 10 or 11, I think he could end up being like a steal that, basically living up to the hype that he had coming into the season.
Yeah, I agree. I think he went through a lot of adversity. I think people are really judging that season, with the team being terrible, the meniscus tear. I'm not sure if I would go off of stats alone. Now, the decision-making was questionable. I agree with that. Right. Some of the shot selection was questionable. Too many turnovers. Didn't finish well. But I think this kid, once you open it up, once you space it out at the next level, I think this kid is going to be a bucket. Maybe not, Jamal Murray, but I think he'll come pretty damn close. And you see what that got the Nuggets. You still need a engine, somebody that's going to get the ball around the perimeter. I'm not sure if he could be the guy that you could give the keys. But I certainly think he's got a role at the next level. I wouldn't sell him short. So
yeah, I would love to. I wish it was like the old days where the prospects went against each other and pre-draft workouts.
Yeah.
Because if I'm an agent and I have, whether I'm an agent for LaMelo or, whoever, I'll be worried about my guy going into a draft workout one-on-one with Cole Anthony. I think he's that much of a dog. Now, I know like LaMelo's game is more suited for 5-on-5 team play as opposed to like one-on-one play. But I think if you threw a bunch of the point guards in a workout and had them compete for your draft pick, I wouldn't be shocked to see Cole Anthony come out on top. I just think that he has that type of mentality, which I think RJ has it too. I'm talking about RJ Barrett. I think those are two guys that are dogs, not are competitive. They have their flaws, but I think you can work with their flaws.
Very, very interesting, man. Salute to everybody in the chat. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. We're closing in on 1,000 people in the chat. We got 173 likes. You guys got to do what Jay from Florida said. Hit that thumbs up button. Hit that like button right now. On the count of 3, everybody hit that like button. 1, 2, 3. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. We got to get some more support in here. Definitely want to salute everybody who's called in so far, everybody who's tuning in. Salute to everybody on Team #new. Remember, these shows are available in audio podcast format as well. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Amazon Alexa, Stitcher, iHeartRadio. We are everywhere on the KnicksFanTV, so you have no excuse to miss the next show. But let's get those likes up. Let's share these videos. Let everybody know this is the #1 show for the fans by the fans. On the phones, we got a lot of callers calling in on the Obi topic. I want to pause that for a second because I want to talk about RJ Hampton, bro. Because he's a guy that you've been studying for quite some time. You spent some time recently with RJ and his trainer, Tyler Relf. Tyler Relf has trained a number of NBA players. He's now working with RJ Hampton. Tell the people a little bit about RJ, what he's working on, and where you see his draft prospects.
Yeah, I think RJ is a guy that a lot of people, for whatever reasons, have just kind of soured on. I think that he was a top 5 prospect, top 5 player ranked in his class. He went to Australia and he didn't put up big numbers, but I think overall it may have hurt his draft stock. But I think long term, that experience in Australia made him better because for the first time, at least in my opinion, for the first time in his career, he had to play with other guys that were either better than him or he had to kind of fit into an offense. And so I think he just kind of learned to play off the ball and learn how to, cut and move and just not have everything set up for him. But I've been in the gym with him a few times this summer. Shooting was his biggest concern, and he's definitely been putting in the work, working on his shot. I have a video on my YouTube channel where
I got it up right now.
Shot lights out. He shot lights out.
So is the jumper the biggest concern with him, or what do you think is his biggest flaws going into the next level?
Yeah, the jumper. I mean, that was the biggest concern of his shot consistency. I had a chance to watch him play in high school a few times. He was able to get to the rack whenever he wanted to because he was bigger, stronger, more athletic than guys. And so he just never really had to shoot jumpers at the high school level because he's so fast. And I mean, if you look at him, he has the size of a wing, but he's really a guard. But I think his potential is high. I mean, I think that, if he goes to a team with a good development staff, you can develop him. I mean, he's 6'5", 6'6", has ball handling skills, has good court vision. He's kind of, especially with his speed, he can get into the paint and break down defenses, and he's good at finding guys and skip passes. I think that he's going to be a steal for somebody, and he's very competitive. That's one thing I'll say about him. He comes from a good family, good home, grew up in like the suburbs of Dallas. But everything about his game is tough, competitive. He's got a lot of dog in him.
Do you see the Brody comparisons, or is that OD?
What's that?
Russell Westbrook. Do you see the Westbrook comparisons, or is that a stretch?
Somewhat I can see him, especially since Westbrook didn't really play point guard when he was in college. I think Darren Collison was the point guard.
Yeah.
And I've heard rumors that Detroit is interested in him because Troy Weaver was with Oklahoma City when they drafted Westbrook, and now he's in charge of Detroit. So I've heard those rumors. But yeah, I mean, I think with the way the NBA is going, with the way floor spacing is and speed kills, he has the speed to put tremendous pressure on defenses. And if he can just, find guys and make plays out of pick and roll, then I think that he could be an engine that could, power an offense, a high-powered offense.
Very, very interesting, man. You think maybe the stint in the NBL is what kind of soured people on him?
Yeah, just because you didn't see him. I actually went out there. I went to the game that him and LaMelo played.
Yeah.
They went heads up. Man, you talk about far.
Yeah. So wait, you went from Dallas, because you're in Dallas, right? You went from Dallas to Australia.
Well, I was actually living in Beijing at the time.
Okay.
So I thought that, I'm in Beijing. I'm on that side of the world. It's a straight flight down. Man, when I say it was so far, I think it was so far ahead. I want to say it was like Wednesday night there, and I was watching Tuesday night NBA games in the States. It was literally like 19 hours ahead.
In a whole other realm.
Yeah, it was so far, and even just like watching the game, I just kind of felt like a zombie in a sense. But yeah, I just think that RJ's draft stock overall was hurt by him going to Australia, because he played on a team where he didn't have the same freedom as LaMelo. He wasn't given the opportunity to run the offense, but he had to play with some other guys, and he just kind of had to earn his minutes. Why I've been saying for the longest that if LaMelo would have shot underhand scoop passes from half court, he wouldn't have came out the game, because he was driving in so much revenue and so many people were coming to see them that him developing wasn't even, or even trying to win, that wasn't even like in their plans. They won in the box office because he was generating so much revenue and so much attention. But I feel like RJ had to actually like earn his minutes. He had to get out there. He had to defend, and he had to learn how to play with other players.
And shout out my guy V Nico in the chat. He said it's Tuesday 12:15 in Australia right now. So Australia is heavy. We got a lot of people from the land down under in the chat, man, and they always supporting. So salute to all my Aussies out there. New Zealand, stand up. What did you make of LaMelo's game? Is it hype? Is it some promise? Or what do you think about LaMelo?
Combination of both. I think it's hype. I think it's a lot of promise. I mean, he has what you can't teach. He's 6'7", super creative with the ball. He may be even 6'8", I don't know. Creative with the ball. Unbelievable court vision. But the concern that I have about LaMelo is if you look at him, even like Anthony Edwards to a certain extent, every team that he's been on has pretty much been set up for him to succeed, right? The teams in Lithuania, when he wasn't playing, what does dad do? He built a team around him. Then they had that big baller league. The league was built around him. He went to this team in Australia, and everything was built around him. He had total freedom, total creative control. So I wonder if he's in a situation where it's not set up for him, how is he going to react? Yep. So if he goes to, let's say the Knicks trade up or something, and he goes to New York, then is Tibbs going to just say, hey, you know what, RJ, Mitch, you guys get out the way. We're going to let Melo do his thing? I don't know. How does it react? I'm not sure.
Yeah, it would be shaky indeed, man. You got like a buzzing going on in your background? Is that you or me?
I think it's me. Hold on one second.
Yeah, go ahead. I'll go ahead and take an intermission. Salute to everybody in the chat. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys on the intermission. How many people we got in the chat right now? We got 1,086. We got to get those likes up. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Hit that like button on the video. Smash that thumbs up button for you boys. CP from KnicksFanTV checking in. I got my guy Raphael Barlow, the NBA draft junkie, joining us, dropping some gems. My man went from Beijing to Australia just to check the showdown between RJ Hampton and LaMelo. This guy is the NBA draft junkie indeed. Let's go to the phones. My guy Will from LI wants to get in on the RJ Hampton topic. Will, how you feeling, bro?
Hey, how you doing today, CP? Raphael, how you guys doing this afternoon?
Good, man. What's going on?
Not much, man, not much. And it was a great segue because I feel like a lot of people haven't been talking about RJ Hampton. I feel like, from the way that he was talked up and from the way that he talks about himself, he feels like he's the type of player that a team can build around him. I wanted to get your guys' topic on that. If you think that he is a guy that can be the guy at a show, and then number two is, where do you think he's gonna land in the draft? I mean, some people see him as 15, but I can see him going all the way at like 25 on some other mocks. So I feel like if he goes to the 20s, would you guys be willing to grab him if he's in that 20 range? Maybe move a pick or two, maybe move a second in that 26 pick, what have you. And then lastly, I wanted to talk about Killian Hayes, because it looks like the Knicks guy had a Zoom interview with him, and he was talking about Frank and how they know each other. I really think that if we swap with the Hawks, we can jump the Pistons and get him. And I wanted to know what you guys think about Killian Hayes and if he's worth potentially moving up 2 spots to get him. So I'm gonna just leave you guys on that. Thank you for the call, and keep grinding, keep doing that thing.
Appreciate it, bro. My guy Will from LI. Probably the number one caller on the show. Always calling in, always supporting. Appreciate you, Will. RJ Hampton, where do you have him getting drafted right now?
I still have him in the lottery. I think it's weird that he was in the lottery probably up until maybe a month ago, and then all of a sudden he dropped to like number 18, 19, 20, based off of what? We haven't seen anybody play. So why is he dropping so far? I don't know. I mean, I have my theories behind it. I don't want to really get into it. It's more so political than based off anything else, because again, if a player drops or even rises significantly at this time, what is it based off of?
Interesting.
It could be a lot of factors, but I don't think anybody should be jumping 9 spots or dropping 9 spots when we haven't seen anybody play since March.
Interesting. So, and Killian Hayes?
I like Killian, man. I'm a live on this hill, I'm a die on this hill, but I'm taking Killian Hayes over LaMelo Ball any day of the week. I think that, I guess I'm biased a little bit. I mean, Killian's lefty. I think that he I just think that he's a better defender. I think that the league that he played in the Euro Cup, and better I think that the league is better competition than the NBL. I also look at it like this: if LaMelo played in Europe, he wouldn't be given that same freedom. How would he be able to to play in that system? And then I think if you put Killian and Australia, I think that he would have done just as well as LaMelo did. I know that I think that would probably concern a lot of Knicks fans because he's from France and
it's a lot of the Frank comparisons, but he's not really from France, right? Like, was he born? I don't think he was born in France.
No, he was born in the States. His dad is American.
Right. Yeah, but
he grew up in France, and so he's been on all of their their junior teams. So I think that I like Killian. He kind of reminds me of D'Angelo Russell in a sense. I think he can be that type of point guard. He's not going to wow you with like crazy athleticism, but if you look at the numbers, out of all the guys that were, all the point guards that are projected to be in the lottery or whatever, he was the best finisher at the rim. Well, second best. The guy that was the best finisher at the rim was Halliburton, but Halliburton only went to the basket in transition. He never got to the basket in half-court situations. And I think for Killian, that's pretty good, considering that there's the guys that are more athletic than him and high flyers. But I mean, Killian was really good, and he only goes one way. I think if he works on his right hand, then he's going to be that much more dangerous.
Yeah.
But
he's got to, especially with RJ here. He's already a lefty. Definitely want to see Killian work on his handles for sure. But as you said, the defense, being able to create his own shot, the step back jumpers there, I definitely like that. The size, you got to like the size. I'm not really a fan of undersized point guards, so I think Killian certainly fits the bill. Will he get past Detroit is the question. A team that is hungry for a point guard. I don't think so, but you never know.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Knicks trade up for him, but we'll see.
Yeah, I just think that media pressure and pressure from the fans won't allow New York to take him.
No.
But I'm buying into him being a good shooter long term. He shot like 88% from the free throw line. And usually if a guy shoots free throws like that, then, it usually translates to him being a pretty good shooter. So
indeed,
I'm taking Killian over LaMelo if I'm in charge.
Indeed. Back to the phones. Let's go. DJ from Washington, D.C. wants to talk about RJ Hampton. What's going on, bro?
First, I want to thank you guys, man, for providing Knicks information. I mean, this is my favorite program on YouTube. I'm a lifelong Knicks fan, South Bronx in the house, now in Washington, D.C., and I'm heavy on R.J. Hampton. The problem is Knicks typically pick guys with low ceilings, the Preston Shumperts, the Jordan Hills, the Frank Nicolinas. R.J. Hampton is like John Wall with a better attitude and a better jump shot, and he's improving. And the thing I like about R.J. Hampton is if you look at the history of guys who have problems shooting in college, Kawhi Leonard, Jimmy Butler, John Wall, Donovan Mitchell, if they have a good attitude and they have reasonable enough form, they tend to do better at the pro level. What R.J. Hampton has, you can't teach. He's quick, he's fast, he's lengthy, athletic, and he wants to play for New York. So from my perspective, if you look at this draft and you want to hit a home run, it's either R.J. Hampton or Isaac Okoro. Tell me what you guys think.
Okay. Well, what you think about that, Raphael? Appreciate the call, DJ. Salute to DC.
Yeah,
Chocolate
I mean,
City. Go ahead, bro.
I never thought about the John Wall comparisons. I think John Wall was more of a natural point guard and distributor than RJ. But I mean, as far as like, I've seen RJ plenty of times. Like, I mean, he works out ironically with Julius Randle's trainer. So I've seen both of them in the gym. And the same guy also, Frank was in Dallas last summer. He lived here. So I got a chance to see a lot of those guys up close and personal. But RJ looks like a wing. Like if you saw him and you just lined up all the players in the draft side by side, he's as big as a wing. And so, and a lot of times, how many guards that were projected as high with his athleticism end up not working out? I mean, I think, you can say Dennis Smith is one of those guys and maybe Dante Exum. Yeah. But a lot of the guys that are guards that have that type of athleticism usually play well and do well. And they can get by off their athleticism. But yeah, I think that RJ has a lot of potential. I don't know short term if he fits with New York because I think Tibbs wants to win now. And I don't know if they're going to take the time to develop him into a point guard. I think that early in his career, he may have to play a little bit of combo, play both. But I think eventually he can transition into a point guard. So I don't know if the Knicks are the best fit for him short term. And, like it's been said on the show, I think that they want to win, get to the playoffs as soon as possible.
Somebody ready, yeah. And when you mentioned he's got the same trainer as Julius Randle, I think the chat kind of soured a little bit, man. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
But,
no, I mean, I can see the comments.
Yeah.
I can see the comments. No, I've seen Julius work out this summer, man. He's working hard. And
yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, he's working hard. I just think that he was in a bad situation with New York. I don't know if anybody would have really looked too good on a team where they had a bunch of guys playing the same position. I mean, Marcus Morris did, but no, I think in a good situation, I think Julius can be a weapon. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm a Blazers fan.
Yeah.
And I would love to have a guy like Julius that can rebound and that can actually pass the ball and make a play for another person if needed. I mean, a lot of teams have a 4-man that can't pass the ball and move at the same time. So I think in the right situation, I think Julius could definitely be a weapon.
Yeah, I think in the right fit, he certainly can be. I like him more as a 6-man, but, time will tell how that plays out. Let's get back to the phones. Ezra from Queens, what's going on, bro?
Oh, yeah. Hello. What's going on, bro?
How you feeling,
man?
What's going on? Yeah, loud and clear. Go ahead.
All right, cool. You want me shouting out my YouTube channel really quick? My name is Fuego, one of the underrated YouTubers from Far Rockaway. Yeah, check my channel out. And I want to talk about LaMelo Ball. That's exactly what I want to talk. I'm wondering why am I hearing that he's a bust? He's going to be a bust. I feel like he'd be great for the organization altogether. I think somebody from earlier said, from Florida said that, like they want to see games on TNT again. Not only will that bring more fans back to the Garden, I feel like he's 6'8". Like he's a different player out of the draft. He has a jump shot. Like there's like Stephen Curry came into the league and he wasn't shooting like over. I think he was shooting overhead. I think they said. And look, he's the greatest shooter of all time now.
Yeah,
like I think
but
we should take the chance with him.
The
Not only
shooter
Tom Thibodeau's on the team.
at Davidson, man. Appreciate the call, bro. We got a lot of calls, so I wanna get to some more calls. Appreciate the call, Ezra. Real quick on LaMelo, he said he's not changing his shot. Raphael, what do you think about that? He said in an interview in his combine interview today, he said he has no plans on changing his shot. What do you think about that?
I don't have an issue with it. I mean, I just think it more has to do with his shot selection. Like one of the things about LaMelo that when I watched all his film, I noticed that he didn't have a lot of turnovers, right? For a guy that's such a high risk passer, his assist turnover rate was pretty good. But the shots that he would take early in the shot clock, in my opinion, are just as bad as turnovers.
Yeah.
And so, I don't think that he really needs to change his shot. And I'm saying that, and I know like RJ has changed his form and it's made a difference for him. Mm-hmm. But some guys really can't change their shot because they ended up going back to, their old form when they get tired, or it's easy to kind of shoot a different shot when you're in an empty gym. But when you get in a game situation, you may go back to your old form, and then now you end up being confused in a sense. So I think with repetition, I think Melo could be a better shooter. But I still have my concerns about him. I just I want to see him play in a situation where everything is not just set up for him. I want to see him play where he'll be held accountable. Now, I do think his dad would hold him accountable, but at the same time, his dad was going to put him in the best position to succeed. Yeah. One of the things that, like when I went to watch them live, when showing the clips that you're showing now, when I went to watch them live, I got there early, and a lot of stuff that you can't really see on film. And so when I watched the game, when I watched him warm up, Melo was just so laid back. I mean, he had his headphones on. He was shooting flat-footed shots, just kind of throwing the ball up. Didn't break a sweat. Was just kind of like, like it was an AAU game. Going with the flow, not even an AAU game. Like a game where he was like, you play when you at the park and you got Knicks, and so you just kind of under the basket, getting some shots up. Yeah. That's how he looked. And then he was terrible in the first half of the game because he didn't have a rhythm. But he didn't have a coach that was going to hold him accountable. There wasn't anybody yelling at him like, this is a big game. Come on. And I mean, if you look at the clips, he got a shot blocked a bunch of times in the first half. He turned it on in the second half where he showed like his potential, but everything that he could do. But I'm just not as high on LaMelo as everybody else. I think that on one hand, it's kind of unfair to compare him to his brother, which the hype train, let's be honest, the hype train got Lonzo drafted ahead of De'Aaron Fox. Yeah. There's no way. Yeah, big time. Lonzo should have went ahead of De'Aaron Fox. Even when they matched up in college, it was clear who was the better player.
Fox swipe and dusted him.
Yeah, but it was hype that, Magic talking about they're going to hang his jersey up. They traded D'Angelo Russell because they fell into the hype. I'm worried that this is the same thing all over again. At least we saw Lonzo. Like, think about it. You guys saw Lonzo play. I mean, people saw LaMelo play in a situation where his team was terrible. I mean, they were awful. And then he stopped playing after, 12 or 14 games.
Yeah. Now, for LaMelo, he will be participating in this combine, quote unquote, that the NBA is scheduling, this solo performance that they're going to be recording, video workouts, doing the measurements, so on and so forth. The list of participants was released yesterday by Shams of The Athletic. Notable exceptions: no Cole Anthony, no Devin Vassell working out, among others. What do you think about some of these prospects choosing to not participate in this quote unquote combine and how it may affect their draft stock?
I don't like it, but I get it. right? And I'll say it like this. Even though I don't know if they're actually going to, because it's a virtual combine, so it's going to be different, something like we've never seen before. But I remember like in years past, they were saying that they had these workouts, right? And Nate Robinson destroyed every guard ahead of him one-on-one. So if I'm an agent, I wouldn't want my guy working out against Nate Robinson with all that space playing one-on-one. You can't guard Nate Robinson one-on-one. And so I see why agents start pulling guys out of these different workouts because they want to protect the stock of their player. I think for maybe a Cole Anthony, they may feel like he's solid and going in the top 10 and his stock can't really go up much. So don't put him in a position where it could drop some. So I get it from the agent's point of view. You don't want a situation where, a guy, his stock drops because his wingspan, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think Tyler Hero dropped in the draft because he didn't have a positive wingspan. If Tyler Hero had a 6'10" wingspan, I think he's a top 5 pick last year. But, some teams overthought it because, some of the measurables. Yeah. And then there's also some guys that can rise up in the draft stock in the combine because they test off the charts athletically. I mean, think about how many guys have, like Joe Alexander is a guy. I mean, I know Joe personally. He ended up being like the 8th pick in the draft.
West Virginia, out of West Virginia, right?
Yeah, he was the 8th pick because he just tested so well at a combine. And so I think if I'm an agent and one of my guys I know is going to blow it off the waters on the athletic test, then I put him in there. But if it's someone who I think that his stock is going to stay the same regardless, I don't want to put him in a position to where it drops because, his arms aren't long enough or, he only has a 30-something. I don't know. It's just weird. Like, what's the kid's name out of Charlotte? That was the 4th pick, Cody Zeller.
Yeah.
If you look at the combines, they say he tested out as a better athlete than Blake Griffin.
MJ was sold. Sign me up. This is the franchise.
Right. And I think, if you're jumping straight up when nobody around you, that's totally different than the explosiveness that you see in the game. But he shot up super high. I laugh and that's our subject a little bit. Dude was like a top 5 pick. He's one of the biggest busts, but he's never mentioned as a bust. But he was a top 5 pick.
Big time bust. MJ has not drafted well at all, man. But that's his worries. He's got the rings. So to everybody in the chat, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. We're still hovering 1169, Raphael. There's no hoops on tonight. But the action is at KnicksFanTV, #1 show for the fans by the fans. CP from KnicksFanTV checking in. My man Raphael Barlow, the NBA draft junkie, in here dropping gems. Let's go back to the phone, see what the people have to say. Everybody in the chat, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. We got to get to at least 500 likes in the chat tonight. We're at 351. Salute to everybody watching on Facebook. Never forget the Facebook gang. Salute to everybody watching on the replays as well. All right, let's go to ATL. My guy Leroy checking in. Leroy, how you doing, man?
Hey, CP, how you doing, man?
Good to hear from you, Leroy. I know you want to talk about Obi, man, because your cousin is the coach of the Dayton Flyers. So give me your takes on Obi.
Well, Obi, well, first of all, Billy just took their job with Chicago. And Anthony was Billy's assistant. I think that's a shoo-in that he's not going past 4.
Interesting.
Billy is not going to let Obi go past 4 because Anthony's going to be in his ear. And I think that was a shoo-in, automatic. I think they planned that. Totally, 100%.
Okay.
And I think Obi is a winner. I think there's no question about it. He's got the maturity, he's got the game. I think that's a lock. But I think it's really interesting what they're saying about RJ because I think RJ is a better ball player than LaMelo. First of all, he was a stud in high school. This kid was a stud in high school. But he did have a wing game. He's not a pure point guard, but this kid was a stud. He dropped 33 against Tyree Maxwell when he was in high school. This kid was bombing everything with max preps. And it was the recruiting scandal that got up with his father, and I heard about it that got it messed up. But this kid can ball. This kid can legitimately ball. I don't think he's a pure point guard, but I agree with your guy. This guy can ball.
Okay. Appreciate the call, Leroy. Always appreciate it, man. Yeah, Raphael, my guy Leroy from Atlanta, his cousin is Anthony Grant, the head coach at Dayton.
Mm-hmm.
So Leroy's throwing the Obi to Chicago link through Billy Donovan, who's close with Anthony Grant. Could be.
So now you got the Billy Donovan connection, and then you got the CAA connection between New York and Chicago.
There you go.
Draft day is gonna be crazy.
It's gonna be crazy. And Leroy is also he's also on the RJ Hampton train. Okay, very interesting, man. A couple more calls for you, Raphael. Definitely appreciate the time. Everybody in the chat, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Let's go to Texas. Chris is with us. Chris, how you feeling, man?
Hello?
Yo, what's good, Chris? How you feeling, bro? Go ahead with your point.
Hey, how you doing? I wanted to talk about the Knicks getting a guard no matter what. I think the Knicks need to get a guard, whether it's CP, whether it's Conley, or if it's somebody in the draft. I think a lot of the problems people were saying earlier today, somebody said we need to focus on Mitch. Somebody said we need to focus on box office. I think no matter what you do, the point guard position is like the quarterback position. The Knicks haven't had a good point guard since Jeremy Lin was like the 21st best point guard. And since then, we've had the 30th best point guard every year. So I wanted to know your opinion. If Obi Toppin is not there, like my man before said, at number 8, what guards you guys would look at? And if it's not going to be a guard at that position, do you think that the Knicks might do something where they take somebody else a risk at 8 and then try to get a guard at the back end of the draft?
Yeah, and appreciate the call, man. I think they will go best player available at 8. I think if Obi's there, they will take him. Killian Hayes, I think if Killian is there, I think they will take him. Okoro just seems like a Tibbs guy, even though the fit with RJ right now scares me. I think Okoro, I think Tibbs sees Okoro in that Jimmy Butler mold. I think he would take him. They're saying that the Knicks like him. Again, it could be draft fodder, it could be cap. You guys in the chat be the judge on Okoro. I don't think, a lot of you guys like Kira Lewis. I like him as well. I like Cole. Just based on my research and a lot of the mocks, I see a lot of these guys putting them in within that team's range. So I'm not sure if the Knicks will jump up to get a Kira Lewis, to get a Cole Anthony. And I don't think they will trade up for 27. I think they will, knowing Walt Perrin, from what you hear in terms of his philosophy, I think he will have a guy in that range that he'll take at 27. And this is a point guard heavy draft, right? And Raphael, you had you like Cassius Winston down there to the Knicks. What do you like best about Winston?
I mean, I like Winston. He doesn't pass the eye test. You look at him, he doesn't have the body or the athleticism that you want. But I think that he's ready to come in and contribute. I think that he's a good passer, and I can make a case, and I mean, people may argue with me on this, but I can make a case and say that he's the best shooter in the draft. I mean, if you look at his numbers, he shot over like 43% from 3 over 4 years. That's 600-something shots. It's not a small sample size. He's a good shooter from the mid-range. He's not so good like finishing in the paint, but I think that in some cases, the college lane is crowded, especially Big Ten. They play some ugly basketball in the Big Ten. So you're going to get a lot of, ugly basketball. But I think with the NBA, I mean, maybe not the Knicks per se, but I think there's more floor spacing in the NBA in a sense. And so, but I think that Cassius Winston has some Kyle Lowry in him. Great pick and roll guy. I think that, if you put him on the Knicks roster right now, he is the best pick and roll point guard. I think he'd make things easier for Mitch. I know Knicks fans are high on Mitch. I mean, you think he's the next coming of Wilt Chamberlain, that Knicks fans tell it. But I think that he needs a point guard that can get him some easy looks. Now, Winston is definitely not going to, help out defensively. I think that, I think that he just doesn't have the athleticism. But I think he has the heart, and I think he has the intangibles. He comes from a good program at Michigan State. I thought that, a Jaren Jackson, for example, he was somebody when I saw at Michigan State, I saw the potential. I didn't think he would be as good as he is. But I think Cassius Winston would be a good backup. I'm not saying that, you would take him at 27, he would come in and be your starter. And I'm talking more so along the lines of if you get rid of the guys that you already have on the roster. If
It's
Peyton's gone.
It's a glut going on in there right
now. BSJ is gone.
Yeah.
I think Frank is a guy that I would like the Knicks to keep him, but more so as like a combo guard. But let's say you get a Chris Paul in a trade, or you sign Van Vliet, or you make a trade. I like Cassius Winston as a backup point guard. I think he's a guy that can come in for you. He won't hurt you, and he'll run the show with the second unit, especially if you give him a pick and roll big to run with. I think that he would be solid for New York.
Plus a 4-year player, right? A guy that could probably come in and contribute right away. Somebody with a high IQ that could execute out there for Tibbs. 6'1". Some people in the chat aren't too high on the height, no pun intended, but we've seen in the past Tibbs' success with shorter guards, whether it's DJ Augustine, Nate Robinson, to name a few. So
he won 50 games with DJ Augustine, who was almost out the league.
That's right.
I think they must have got him in like some last minute dump.
That's right.
And he just figured out a way to make it work.
Yeah.
And so, I think that, as a backup, I think that Cassius Winston would be okay.
A lot of options based on what we're hearing, but I still think that the Knicks should get that train moving. I don't know how high Tibbs is on Frank. I don't think Frank will be a point guard, going forward. Maybe off the bench. I'm still not sure what Frank's true role is going to be on this team. I don't know how high they're going to be on DSJ. I'd like for them to get rid of Elfrid Payton by all costs. So whether it's bringing in CP3, whether it's going Van Fleet, I still think they should be drafting a point guard. At some point you can't rely on 2021 is the real point guard. You can't wait on that. You don't know where the Knicks are going to be drafted next year. You have to think they're going to have an improved team. They finished 6th this year, 6th worst record this year. Have to figure that they're going to improve a little bit based on who they get this offseason with Tim's at the helm. So you can't count on them getting some of these, top point guards in next year's draft. I think they have to go out, draft one, and see what he does. He might not be a franchise, but again, another piece to the puzzle that fits how Tibbs is trying to move. I think they need to do that.
Yeah, I'm looking at the comments and I see, you're low on small guards, but look at Toronto. Look at their backcourt. 6 foot, maybe 5'11". They had 2 dogs.
Yeah.
It's not easy to find a Lowry and a Van Vliet, but those guys weren't highly regarded in the draft.
That's true.
But they had these intangibles. They had this competitive fire. Van Vliet's a dog.
Yeah, he is.
Lowry is his game isn't sexy. Nobody goes to the park and works on their Kyle Lowry game or wants to be Kyle Lowry, but he's an all-star. He's an Olympian. He's an NBA champion. I think he's put together a really, really nice career.
Yeah.
That has been underrated, and
Definitely did.
I think Cassius Winston could be a poor man's Kyle Lowry. And if you get half of that production out of him, then you end up getting a steal at a late round pick.
Yeah, interesting. Salute to everybody in the chat. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Once again, let's take 2 more calls for you, Rafael. How you doing on time, bro? You good on time?
Man, I can go all night. I'm looking at these comments, man. Yeah, shout out
the
to
NBA Draft Junkies ready to go. Let's do it.
Yeah. Shout out to everybody that's commenting. Some of the stuff has me laughing, especially the one where they said I had a pizza warming up. I actually left my dishwasher open and it started ringing. So no pizza. My house isn't burning.
Yeah, people were concerned, man. They thought the smoke alarm was going off in the background, man. But yeah, salute to everybody in the chat for sure. Let's go to my guy down in North Carolina, Jay Boogie's with us. Jay Boogie, how you feeling, man?
What's good with everybody? How everybody doing? Staying healthy and safe. Y'all know my line. I like to open up with that and make sure everybody stay healthy and safe. Protect your home, protect your families, and wash your hands. Take care of what you need to do. Do not forget that. Now let's get back to this basketball thing.
That's a fact, man. That's a fact.
I'm really upset that Cole Anthony is not performing at this combine. Because I'm listening to what my man's saying right there with you, CP. If you get injured, and then you come back from your injury and you decide to play in college because you feel like you want to show somebody that you got what they think you have, you're supposed to be in this combine. You know what I'm saying? Your stock slid. So you need to be up in there trying to bust somebody to bring your stock back up. I'm a Cole Anthony dude. I told y'all that last week. But just to let my man know, I'm around a lot of NBA players, and I do know in the NBA it is a such thing as saying that 3-4 years it might have took you too long to develop. It took too much time for you to develop. So 3 and 4 years, you might reach your peak. You might not get no better than what you are. You know what I'm saying? But I know Cole Anthony is a dog. We need dogs inside Madison Square Garden, man. You got to be a dog to be able to perform inside them lights, man. If you're not a dog, you're not going to survive the situation. A lot of people fall to the pressure of Madison Square Garden. But I'm not going to get off my 8th pick if we can't get a legitimate point guard in that top level between Melo moving up to get Melo or getting Killian Hayes dropping down. I'm not getting off that boy down there in Vanderbilt, that boy Aaron. I highly respect Jerry Stackhouse work. My man sitting there talking about sleep. That's Jerry Stackhouse work. That man is the best pure shooter, NBA-ready guy in this draft. Point blank. I tell you, you never hear nobody say, yo, I want to be like Klay Thompson. He is the next Klay Thompson to the league. Pure sniper. We need him. Then come back and use them other picks to trade up and get Cole. That solidifies your backcourt. And Cole Anthony can get a bucket, and he can get a bucket without a play call. Look at the 5th and the 6th games of the playoffs. Them guys get buckets without a timeout, without a play call. That's what makes you an elite box office player. When the coach ain't running no play for you and you get your own bucket. You got to be able to get a bucket off the bounce. If you ain't got no handle, ain't no need for you to be there. That's why all them guards that we got, they can't do nothing off the bounce. We got to get them out of there, clean house. True. And I salute Tom Thibodeau. He know what he want. He know what he want to do. And just for my wishful thinking, don't y'all run me out. Don't run me out. Let me tell y'all my wishful thought real quick.
Now you got the floor, man.
I had a dream that we traded to the number 1 spot. Guess what we did? We traded RJ to Minnesota, got that number 1 pick, came back, Golden State. They wanted Mitch. We traded that. We had the 1 and the 2, and we got Razzle with Dazzle, that boy Edwards and Melo, back to back. They traded back up with that 27th and the 8th pick and got that boy Wiseman. Wishful thinking. I got to go.
Yeah. Jay Boogie, you was on a roll to that dream, man. That was a good dream. I wanna have one of them type of dreams. Let me tell you.
I did that on 2K, my GM. One day I took a team, I traded everybody, finesse my way up to 2 or 3 top 5 picks. So shout out to him for dreaming.
Salute my guy Jay Boogie, man. Always supporting the show on a nightly basis. My guy Hoff in the chat. James Hurt. Salute to my guy Hoff. Nesmith. Short sample size. You got hurt. You said some people in the chat were talking about the schedule. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, it's the 2nd year Vanderbilt has had a guy miss like 90% of the season. They had it last year with Darius Garland, but he was shooting like 50-something% from 3. He shot lights out the year before. I mean, the sample size is legit. I like him. I like him a lot. I think that he'll provide a need for
big time
for the Knicks.
Big time.
He can shoot off movement. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at that choice. Actually, but what the caller had mentioned about Cole Anthony and the combine, it's a virtual combine, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, so he's not playing anybody.
To me, that would be his advantage. Him going up, you roll the ball out and him, I don't know, playing. Think about if they play like King of the Court or something like that. Mm-hmm. Cole Anthony's coming out on top because he's got that game. But then as far as him not being there, I don't think that's his decision. I think that's more so the agent's
probably
choice
his team.
As far as the player's choice. Because players always want to compete. I've never heard of a player say, I don't want to, I'm ducking this guy. It's always the agents that usually have to sometimes protect the players.
Don't feel like it's in his best interest.
Yeah.
I got you. Oh, man, my guy Jay Boogie had the ill dream. I need one of those tonight, man. For real. So to everybody in the chat.
For Mitch. I mean, like I said, Knicks fans, man.
Mitch turning into Will Chamberlain, right? Take us to the championship. Oh, man. So to everybody in the chat, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. We got some super chats that came in as well. Let me salute some of the super chats. Salute to Yardley Moist. He says, Knicks passed on Mitchell and Hero. Listen, a lot of teams passed on Hero. He was the 14th pick in last year's draft, 14th to 13th. So, you know, it's you gotta have good scouting, good development. The Heat are going into the championship with a core of Jimmy Butler, who was drafted 30th by the Bulls, but still developed by Tibbs. Bam, who's skyrocketing up there as a top 10 at least. Right now they're using the word point center out there, so that's the new buzzword. But Bam is killing. He was the 13th or 14th pick, and you got Tyler Hero, 13th or 14th pick. So, I mean, it just speaks to having a good scouts, having good development, having good culture. That's the Miami Heat, man. I hate to give them credit, but you know that's just what it is.
You want to know something funny?
Yeah.
If Tyler Hero's name was Tyler Hirotovic from Serbia, he would have been a top 5 pick.
And he got what?
I said if his name was Tyler Hirotovic and he was from Serbia and played the same way, he would have been a top 5 pick.
Yeah, you're probably right. But he was balling at Kentucky, though. You know, he was balling at Kentucky. So
he was, but you know, the thing about Kentucky players is I mean, if you want to be honest, it seems like they're better pros. Like, let's use Cat, for example.
Yeah.
Cat is arguably the best big man shooter in NBA history. He's shooting like 40% from three as a 7-footer. He didn't shoot threes at Kentucky.
Right.
Gilgeous-Alexander, I mean, he didn't show all of this at Kentucky. Yeah. Hero definitely didn't show all this at Kentucky.
80.
Bam definitely wasn't showing these point guard passing skills at Kentucky. He was just, to me, a role man. So I think that, and Jamal Murray, I mean, he was the 7th pick. I don't think that he showed all this at Kentucky either. So, I mean, for a guy like Tyrese Maxey, this may help him out in the draft a little bit because it seems like the Kentucky guys, because they have so much talent on their team, they're all sacrificed.
Hard to establish yourself.
Yeah, which in one way is good. But yeah, I think that you know, a guy like I said, Tyrese Maxey, his stock could end up going up based off of all the Kentucky guys that looked better as pros than they did in college.
I agree with that. Plus, you got his assistant coach here in Kenny Payne. So, as far as
he's gonna, he's gonna. I've been saying for a while, some of these Kentucky CAA guys, I think you're gonna get Cat.
Yeah, I think it's all possible, man. Somebody in the chat earlier was like, you're overrating the CAA thing. I don't think so. I don't think so.
You might get Pat Booker, Donovan Mitchell. I mean, the guy Johnny Bryan is from Utah.
They're gonna be after all those guys, man.
Yeah, it's from the area. I mean, I'll be honest. I'm not a Knicks fan, but I think the Knicks are going to be back in the very short term. Whoever they draft this year may not even be in their long-term plans. It may be packaged for a bigger deal. But I think this CAA situation is going to turn the Knicks into a super team in the very near future.
I hope you're right, man. We got 1124 in the chat. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. We're climbing up to 500 likes. We got 416, 1123 in the chat. Salute to everybody watching all around the world. Throw your cities in the chat. Wherever you guys are checking in from, throw your cities in the chat. And if your team hashtag new, throw the hashtag new in there as well. We'll shout you guys out. More super chats. Richard David, appreciate it. He says, Cole Anthony going to be like MPJ after we pass. Chico Fernandez says Killian Hayes will finally be the French player we get right. I hope. Hit that thumbs up button for you boys. Salute to Chico. He knows the deal. Michael Parker, number 1 fan of the show, says LaMelo's best player in the draft. He's ready to trade RJ, the 8th pick, and a Dallas pick, period. Michael Parker's not so high on RJ Barrett. So he wants LaMelo at all costs. My guy Paul Quick checking in from the West Coast. Salute to Paul Quick. LA in the building. Chris Dada, he says, finally a Knicks fan and draft junkie collabo. He was waiting on it. Can RJ Hampton's new jumper hold up under game conditions? Love his speed and size. I like Trey Jones over Cassius. His defense is wicked and off on the rise. What do you think about that, Raphael? Can RJ's jumper hold up in game situations?
I mean, only time will tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, at this point, time will tell. But the first time I saw him work on it with his new shot, his elbow used to be out a little bit, and I don't know, maybe it was March, I don't know. And I went to the gym and I watched him work out. And then when I went a couple weeks ago, he was just knocking down shot after shot. I mean, the confidence is there. He was actually shooting really, really deep shots, like past NBA range. Not necessarily because he's working on shooting that far, but I just think it was for the, just to make sure his shot is effortless, and then just the muscle memory.
Right, muscle memory.
But but like I said, this was just one day that I was there. They didn't really do anything as far as like shooting off the dribble on the move. This was just him getting up a bunch of set shots to work on his form. Like they didn't know I was coming in, so it wasn't like this was a planned workout for the camera so I can put it out there. It was just I reached out to his dad, said, hey, can I pull up? He was like, yeah. And then, maybe like 15 minutes later, I was there. So, and then I should have some more stuff coming up. Okay. But one thing I will say about RJ, and a lot of people don't know this, but I mean, if you follow him on Instagram, he's been spending a week in Dallas, and then the next week he goes to Memphis, and his shooting coach is Mike Miller. So I think that could be a plus. And then while he's in Memphis,
he was working out with Penny, right? Or he's going to be working out with Penny, right?
Yep. So he's going back and forth between Penny and Mike Miller.
Okay.
So I think that's those are a couple guys that you can learn from.
For sure. Definitely, man. Definitely. Yeah, good stuff. Good intel for sure. Make sure you guys check my guys' page on YouTube, NBA Draft Junkies. Couple more calls. Let me salute to the global chat because we got people from all over the world in here. Salute my guy Jao Vitor checking in from Brazil, Porto Alegre. We got the Bronx in here, K-Pat BX. Louis Soto checking in from LA, Trap Boy Hustle, PCB Florida. We got North Carolina in here, Kevin K, Staten Island stand up, Shaolin, what's going on? We got Just Do It checking in from Taipei, Taiwan. Far East Side. We're going all the way out there. Okay. KA's War says hashtag move from Jersey. We got Ben Shomion checking in from Minneapolis, Minnesota in the building. My guy Eddie Roldan was in here 4 hours early. Raphael. We got the early gang in here. My guy John Talento's in here early. Eddie Roldan, Port St. Lucie, Florida. Salute to Eddie. Flatbush, Brooklyn, my guy Marlon Small checking in. So, yeah, man, we worldwide. Salute to Frederick, 305, Miami. Josh Smalls checking in from San Diego. Louis Lopez checking in from Puerto Rico. Raging Ruby says he's checking in from Guam. All right. I don't know if you're in the armed forces, but, yeah, shout out to Guam, man. If you guys are in the service, appreciate the service. Okay, couple more calls before we wrap up. Definitely want to hear from the mayor of the program, Delano from North Carolina. Delano, what's going on, man?
Yo, salute to everybody in the chat. Salute to UCP. Salute to Raphael, from NBA Draft Junkies, follow his channel as well. And, we had a couple of good back and forth conversations, in regards to the draft pick. Once we found out that we went 8. I'm okay with the idea of getting Obi Toppin. Only, like I said, and I've always been a proponent of, I would rather us build with the, with the youth. If that's what we're going to do, then that's what we should do overall. I know we'll need veterans in specific spots, but I don't think I don't think Randall was a good fit with us. So I would sacrifice, getting another guy to fill his spot. So that way when his contract is up, then, we're not back to looking for another power forward. So I would be okay with Toppin. I prefer Killian Hayes personally, just because I think this is a draft where we can address need over best available, and we need a floor general, something I've been saying for a while. If we end up going the Obi Toppin route, then what are your thoughts on the prospect of even maybe selecting Kira Lewis, whether that's a trade up from 27 or, if he lands us at 27, what are your thoughts on that?
Hey, I would love to. How aggressive would the Knicks be from 27? I'm not sure. I haven't heard that. I don't know if their point guard are busting this draft. But I would love to. If they can go up and get Kira, I would love to do it. What's your thoughts on Kira, Raphael?
I like him a lot. I like his speed. I think speed kills. I think in order for him to maximize his potential, is that he'll need floor spacing. If he doesn't have floor spacing, then I think it kind of hurts his speed. But I think that he can be a poor man's De'Aaron Fox. I think so. And he's so young. Like, he just finished his sophomore season, and he's probably the same age as some of the guys that are, just finishing their freshman year. Like last summer, I watched him play in Greece. He was on the under-19 team. It was him and Halliburton. And even like a couple of his teammates on that team were Jalen Green, who is not into the 2021 draft. There was a couple high school guys on his team. So that's how young he is. So I think that he's been underrated just because, I think that if he would have stayed in his original high school class, then I think that he would have been, considered one of the top point guards in his class. So I like him a lot. I don't know his range, but I have seen some people, at least on my channel, say that if they were in New York, they would take him at number 8.
At 8. Interesting. Yeah. Listen, I love his game. How well do Tibbs and gang love it? We'll see. Time will tell, but I wouldn't be mad at it. I'm not here to tell you guys what the draft board should look like. I know the profile of players that I'm looking for. He certainly fits the bill. So let's see how they feel about him when the draft gets here on November 18th. Let's go to AB the Hero from Indianapolis. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's happening? All right, so I wanted to call in. Can you hear me? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to call
loud and clear. Go ahead.
my guy, Raphael, tell a story about when he watched Melo prepping for a game and then came out slow that first half. So I've watched a ton of Melo. I was one of the commentators when they had the JBA. I do some stuff on YouTube and following the family pretty close for a while. So I got to travel a lot watching them play basketball. And the story that you told reminded me of one. We played CSKA Moscow over in Russia. And it was interesting because I'm talking to one of the execs to kind of get information on the team. And he's asking me about LaMelo. And he's watching him practice. And he's saying the same thing. Man, the warm-up, look at him, he's not taking it serious. This is not a big deal to him. And then after the game is over and he watches Melo turn up and hit the switch in the game, he comes to me and is like, yo, I was wrong. This is the dude. You know what I mean? So he does have that bit of, and this was also like 16, 17 at the time. So you got to keep in mind that he's like 18, 19 right now. So he has that little bit of still immaturity at like kind of with some of the things that he does. But I think that the reason why we're seeing him participate in the combine is because he's trying to show a lot of folks that during this pandemic, there's some work that has been put in, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if when you see him stand side by side with some of these younger cats, his body mass is a lot better than some of these dudes. And I think that this is a twofold thing to show that, but then also like just to be like, I'm not afraid to do it. So I think with the Puma deal and some of these other things, and we know that with the family, the brand, and the business has got to be right. I think that this is just a strategic play from that point as well. But I love that one dude's dream, and I would say that if you're a Knicks guy, y'all got to do whatever y'all can to get my man Melo up there in New York because it's going to be crazy.
Okay, appreciate the call and the insight, man. Definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, and I wanted to add to that.
On things. Go ahead, bro.
So let's say, for example, if LaMelo ends up in New York, right? And I've talked to NBA players and guys that play for Tibbs, and one of the things they used to joke about is, like one guy said, man, we used to get our ankles taped for practice. Like we didn't have shoot-arounds and sweats. Ankles taped, full contact practices, right? So Melo's, the kind of cool, calm, lackadaisical effort that he showed, and at least what I saw, and then what the caller was talking about, Tibbs is not going for that. And then now you got a fight between Tibbs and the front office, or, Tibbs may not want to play him because I think Tibbs wants dogs, like straight. I think like a Cole Anthony is a Tibbs type guy, while management may be like, look, we just drafted, we just traded up, we just got this guy, you got to play him. And I could see Tibbs saying like, I don't see this type of effort. Yeah. So, and I'm just using that as an example. I think it's a long shot that LaMelo ends up in New York, but I just think that there's a certain type of guy that Tibbs wants, and I just don't think like Melo's personality and all the fanfare that would come along
Could be a clash with LeVar for sure if he's not ready.
Yep.
Or if Tibbs feels like he's not ready, because Tibbs will err on going with the vet, or like you said, that kid that has the maturity, to take the keys and run with it from day one. So, certainly interesting. Certainly interesting. All right, last call of the night. We're gonna go to let's go to Icewater from Brooklyn. Icewater, what's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
Good, man. How you feeling?
Raphael. Yeah, how
What's
you
up?
doing, Raphael? Let me tell you something. I've been waiting for a guy like you to come on this show for so long. Because ever since I've been calling here, I've been saying how the Knicks should not draft LaMelo Ball at all under any circumstances. And I've been getting argued down like, oh, LaMelo is nice, and the court vision and everything. I just don't see it. Just like you said, his father put him in positions where, the teams have been built around him. He's not really had any good coaching. He hasn't been put in situations where he's been tested. To me, LaMelo is the Tekashi 6ix9ine of basketball. I mean, this dude is just hype.
Oh, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Come
It's
on,
all
man.
hype. There's no substance.
Tekashi's name is not
Is
favorable right now, man. Come on, don't put that on LaMelo. Don't put the jacket on him.
Come on. I'm just talking about the hype. I ain't talking about everything else. I'm just talking about the hype part. If you look at the guy, he has no fundamentals. He dribbles standing up. He's lacking. I mean, the guy. I just don't see it. And you don't draft number 2 for potential, especially with a point guard. If you're going to draft that high, that guy's supposed to come in and kind of contribute immediately. And I don't see LaMelo contributing immediately like a Cole Anthony. He might not even contribute immediately, but you can see that guy is built for New York. Okoro Lewis, you could see that he's built for New York. With LaMelo, I just don't see it. It would take a long time. And just like Raphael was saying, he's going to turn out to be like his brother. That's just what I see. And Knicks fans are starving so hard for relevancy. They want to get LaMelo because they want to be relevant. But that doesn't mean that's going to turn you into a winner. And I just don't see that dude as a winner. I don't see LaMelo as a winner. So I would much rather take a chance on Cole Anthony at 8.
Okay.
Even though he's not projected that high. If that's the need, and if you think that guy can contribute, you draft him at 8. The same thing with Kira Lewis. The same thing with Nesmith. The team is. I mean, the way the NBA is going now, it's about guys that can create their own shots.
Sure.
I don't see that with LaMelo. I do see that with Cole Anthony. I think Cole Anthony can create his own shot. I think Kira Lewis is fast and quick, and he can keep up with other guards in the league. And Nesmith is a shooter, and he's a floor spacer, and that's what the Knicks need.
Big time.
Don't need flash.
Okay, appreciate the call.
I
appreciate the call. I was gonna bang it on him early, man, when he threw the 6ix9ine comment out there, but he seemed like he really wanted to talk to you, bro. So I kept it nice.
That was comment of the day.
He threw the 6ix9ine out there and said, whoa, let's not assassinate the kid's character here, Icewater. Come on, man. So let me hear from Tori from Queens, man. Tori, we'll give Tori the last word. Go ahead, bro.
Hey, what's going on, man?
How you doing, man? Go ahead with your point.
Y'all both throw amazing content out there. I'm gonna put that out there.
Appreciate it.
I follow both pages, you know what I mean? Like, amazing content. Like, the way I vision it, like, we really need defense and we need speed. I really think we should go with R.J. Hampton, and somehow, if we can get Devin Vassell and R.J. Hampton, like, those are 2 dogs I know Tibbs is going to love. You know what I mean? And I feel like we could have, like, another Chicago. Like, Tibbs in Chicago with D. Rose and Dang, and like, you know, like I really feel like we can move if we have like, you know, spacing on the court, guys who can, you know, get up and down the court, play defense, get up shots quick, you know, and like I said, like that old Chicago style play that Derrick Rose is running. Like that's what I envision.
Yeah, well,
what are y'all thoughts on RJ Hampton?
Go ahead, man. Well, I think Raphael, you gave it, but go ahead and close on RJ and what you think his prospects would be.
Yeah, I mean, I like him. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't know if he's a one early in his career, but I think that he's a guy that could play both positions eventually. I think speed kills. He has the speed to be able to get in the paint. I think that he has the size and length to be able to defend 3 positions on the floor. So yeah, I mean, I like RJ. I mean, part of me is a little biased because, you know, he's from the Dallas area and I live here and I've had a chance to watch him since high school. But the thing that I like about him, and I think would be a good fit for New York if they draft him, is that he does have that competitive fire and he is a dog. I mean, he was a guy that in high school, he bullied guys, even though he was, you know, he's not the biggest guy in stature as far as strength, but he attacked the rim every play. And I mean, there was a matchup with Tyrese Maxey in high school and he just straight up dominated him in that matchup. And so, but yeah, I just think that he has that fire and competitiveness that I think like New York fans and Tibbs would like.
Interesting, man. Well, time will tell what his draft fate will hold, man. But Raphael, I definitely appreciate you coming on and giving us some insights, man. This was definitely a great show. We got to do it again, definitely before draft time. So to everybody who called in, we will definitely get one of these again. So if you didn't get a chance to get your question in, we'll certainly give you guys another chance before the draft. Raphael, I'm gonna throw it on your screen. Let the people know where they can find you, bro.
Yeah, first of all, thanks a lot for having me on the show, reaching out to me. It's been a lot of fun. I know it's been like almost an hour and a half, but I mean, this has been great. The fans are funny. The comments, I wish I could read them all. Even the ones that disagree and agree. I mean, I just think that you have a great platform here. Anytime you want me to come on as a guest, I'm all for it. Where you can reach me at, you know, my YouTube channel is NBA Draft Junkies, my website, NBADraftJunkies.com. I have my Twitter is, I mean, you can type in my name, Raphael Barlow, it'll come up. And then I have an NBA Draft Junkies Instagram page. I need to be more active on it. I mean, I kind of, when I talked to you last week about the micro content, how important it is. But, you know, I'm a one-man gang here. So all the production from, you know, my videos, the YouTube site, the website, all of that was done by me. I had to create everything on my own. So, but I definitely need to step up on like the
grind, man. All good, man. When you're on the grind, you got to wear all the hats, man. It's all good, bro.
Yep.
Definitely.
So, but yeah, that's where you can find me at. You know, even on my channel, I try to respond to as many comments as I can, and you know, I can talk draft all day long. I mean, this is something that I wanted to do since I was a kid, and I've just been fortunate enough to somewhat be able to make it a career. So, and to the caller that says my real name, Raphael, yeah, that's my real name.
Yeah, why would you lie?
Right, my stage name.
Facts. Why would you lie, man? Nah, great job, man. Great job as always, Raphael, man, and continued success, bro. Definitely.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. My guy Raphael Barlow, the NBA Draft Junkies. Make sure you guys follow him, man. Before I cut it, man, oh man, I was doing the dishes Thursday night after the game. Was it Thursday night? Yeah, after the game, and my Twitter starts blowing up. And they were like, yo, Chuck D gave you a shout out on Inside the NBA. So here it is. Let me get my Chuck D video.
Wow. He and I were talking today, and he even said, oh, yeah, I've talked to Chuck D before. And so tell folks, how did he influence what you do?
Growing up, we're in New York area, and sorry about this, Chuck. A big up to my people, KnicksFanTV, and also the KFTV. That I grew up as a Knicks fan. Charles Barkley, my favorite player, but I'm a Knicks fan. And
Salute to Chuck D. Threw us on the map inside the NBA. We are national TV, man. Come on, man. The Ron
He's a
Adams.
surprise. Marv Albert.
Oh, wow.
He and I were talking today, and he even said, oh, yeah, I've talked to Chuck D before. And so tell folks, how did he influence what you do?
Growing up in the New York area, and sorry about this, Chuck. Big up to my people, KnicksFanTV, and also the KLTCP.
Hit that thumbs up button for your boys.
Charles Barkley, my favorite player, but I'm a Knicks fan. And Marv Albert.
That was dope, man. Salute to Chuck D, man. Definitely appreciate the shout out. Yeah, I was just minding my own business, man. I was just getting ready, closing out the night. I was finished watching the game, and people told me that that Chuck came on there and saluted us, man. Definitely meant a lot. Salute to you, Chuck. Definitely appreciate the support, and it just goes a long way. Like I said, man, to be able to call on you as a mentor, and for everything that you give to the show, you know, for everything that you do for the culture, and just your knowledge of sports. Everything, man. We appreciate it. We appreciate all the support, man, and that was major. So definitely big shout out to Chuck D. New Public Enemy album, What You Gonna Do When the Grid Falls Down. Make sure you guys check that out. It's on all streaming services right now, so definitely check that out. And yeah, once again, people, great show. Gonna be back this week. Gotta get my guy Jay Ellis back on the show, so we'll be back later on this week and recap what's going on. Knicks open up practice. Past couple of weeks, so you've seen a lot of content coming out from Knicks social channels, guys participating. No Mitch. Mitch is at home with, I think, his new baby girl, so Mitch is spending some family time, but heavy attendance. A lot of guys in attendance, a lot of the regulars, a lot of the upcoming free agents, pending free agents, also at camp as well, so starting to bond with Tibbs and the coaching staff. So we'll see what happens, man, but once again, great show, everybody. Remember, this show is available in audio podcast format: Spotify, Apple iTunes, Google Play, Amazon Alexa, and Stitcher. Salute to all the mods. Salute to KnicksFanTV Dave for throwing the highlights together. Once again, thank you, NBA Draft Junkie, TM. Appreciate all the help as usual. Salute to Paul Quick. Salute to Jason. Salute to G Money, John Talento, always in there. Optimus Prime, for the peace. Appreciate it. Sham BX, appreciate it. Will Rose. We'll be back later on this week, people. Great show. Peace.